News on Friday that long-time ruler Yahya Jammeh had conceded defeat in the country's presidential election. Celebrations erupted in the streets of the Gambian capital, Banjul. The Independent Electoral Commission announced on Friday that winner Adama Barrow clinched 45% of the total votes, while Jammeh took about 36%. A third candidate, Kandeh, won 17%. Jammeh said he now intends to start a new life as a farmer in his home village.
Some analysts believe that young people contributed greatly to Barrow's victory. Young people in the Gambia occupied 60% of the country's population. They are also raising expectations towards the new president.
What we expect from the new president that is coming, the new government, is peace and stability, a lot of development for the youth. Because if you can see, the migration since 2 or 3 years ago has been increasing. Why? Because youths are not comfortable here in the Gambia.
Kandeh, the candidate from the Gambia Democratic Congress, achieved about 100,000 votes in the election. After the result came out, Kandeh said he believed the transition will be in peace, and he appreciated how Jammeh accepted the defeat.
I believe the transition will be in peace as long as they honored their own memorandum of understanding. We are also urging them to recognize that they have signed an MOU between them, which they need to respect.
Barrow, a former property developer with almost no political experience, sounded surprised that he'd won. Jammeh says he will not dispute the result and plans to return to his farm after handing over power next month.
And now for an insight into the outcome of the Gambian elections, we are now joined on the line by Professor Gilbert Kadiagala, head of the International Relations Department at Wits University. Prof, nice to talk to you once again. Good afternoon and welcome.
Thank you very much.
Prof, were you surprised by the results of the Gambian election?
I think, like everybody else, I was surprised because Mr. Jammeh has been around for 22 years and he didn't seem like he was actually going anywhere. He's always made statements that he's going to govern for life. So this was one of the biggest shocks, I think, and I didn't expect it. I think it's the best news out of West Africa and a good Christmas present for friends of African democracy.
But having conceded defeat, did you expect that as well to come so easily, and saying that he will retire to his home village?
You know, the biggest shocker is the concession. But again, you know, before the elections, during the elections, he said that he's a religious person, and that he would accept any outcome because, according to him, the outcome would be ordained by God. So I think he wants to stick to that principle that, in fact, he's not going to go back to his word. I don't think he expected to lose, but that's another part of the story, that, in fact, it's a good story on opposition organization, opposition unity. It's a good story on youth coming out to vote. And it's also a good story on the resilience of the Gambian people. They have persisted for that long. Mr. Jammeh now actually can just simply retire because I think he will be treated very kindly by history, by the simple concession of saying he's going to be a farmer. I think that's good news.
And talking about that, Prof, the President Jammeh had been in power for 22 years and he had the whole state machinery in his corner. What led to his downfall?
The downfall is just fatigue. Everybody's tired of Jammeh. He's a very eccentric figure. He's ruled as a military man, although he's won a few elections, 4 elections since the time he came to power. But he's not actually more modern in that sense of the word. I think the story earlier on was talking about the role of young people who are really tired of this same person they have seen since they were born, and they need something new. I think the power of democracy is the power of change, and I think this is the galvanizing voice in the Gambia, that they want something new, somebody new. And Mr. Jammeh, although he's still very young, he's only 51 years old, he still doesn't look like he's the leader of the future in Gambia. I think that's the biggest statement of fatigue, political fatigue, but the yearning for change.
And you were saying earlier on, Prof, that probably history will be kind to him. But in the 22 years that he was in power, he was accused of being authoritarian. He was accused of rights abuses. Do you not think that these will now come to haunt him now that he's out of power?
You know, it depends on whether the problem in Africa is that leaders fear to leave power because they feel they'll go to the ICC or they'll be treated as criminals. But the incentive has always been to say, you know, let the past be the past. So let's keep on. If the leader can concede, if he can give up his power, if he can tell his military to behave. I think the Gambian people should be able to say, we probably should not prosecute Mr. Jammeh. In fact, you remember that this year he was trying to get out, one of the first countries to get out of the ICC. And that the new leader, Adama Barrow, is saying, no, we are not going to get out of the ICC because we already signed up to the ICC. So the argument is that you need these leaders to have some incentives why they should get out of power. If you threaten them, then you actually embolden them not to want to give up power.
All right, and very quickly, Prof, what carried the day for the new president-elect, Adama Barrow, and what should be his priorities as he takes office?
I think the priorities would be to restructure the economy, I think, to get Gambia back into West Africa. Gambia has been a pariah nation even within ECOWAS because of the very eccentricities of Mr. Jammeh. I think his priority is to get the country back together, get it back in West Africa, get it back into the graces of the international community, but also govern through constitutional means.
Thank you so much, Prof. We really appreciate your insights. That there was Professor Gilbert Kadiagala from the International Relations Department at Wits University.